Welcome to the Tech with Brett Advanced Wiring Guide for the Caseta by Lutron Smart Light Switches. In today's video, I'm going to swap out all the light switches in this area to have everything be fully smart. We're going to cover all kinds of things like where to wire a light switch in a three-way switch, so do you do it at one end or the other. We're going to be covering the Diva Smart Dimmer, the Claro Smart Switch, the Claro Accessory Switch, the Pico Powder Remote, and how to have other switches connected with a mechanical switch. So tons of different ways in which you can do this. There will also be a link to Lutron's official advanced wiring guide in the description below if you need some help on the wiring of each of those switches. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about some safety rules when dealing with wiring. First off, I am not an electrician, so please proceed with caution. Second, if you do feel uncomfortable at any time, make sure you reach out to a certified or qualified electrician to complete the job so that you are 100% safe. Next, you need to make sure that whenever you are working in an electrical box or your gang box for your wiring, you need to make sure that the breaker is off for that circuit. So you would want to come down here into your electrical panel, find the breaker. I usually leave the light on that I'm going to work on. I then turn off the breaker. You may want to also cover this when you turn it on or off. That's an extra safety tip. And then go and make sure that breaker is off. Now, when you head back to your light switch, you can check to make sure the power is off just by toggling the light switch. But then I would also recommend using a voltage tester and placing this on the different lines that are in that gang box to make sure all the power is off in there. Once you have verified there is no power to that light switch, you can then go ahead and remove the light switch. Then you would want to make sure you take a picture of the wiring before you remove anything in case you need to revert back to its original state. Now, once you have finished the basic wiring of the device, you may want to test to make sure everything is working. Just make sure that all of your wiring are capped. Find the breaker you were working on and then turn on the breaker, test out the light switch, and then I would recommend you would come down here, turn off the breaker again, put it in the wall, making sure that nothing comes loose, and then you can come back here, turn on the breaker once you have everything wired in. Now, if you want to work on other circuits in your home, you will have to verify each of those circuits, making sure the power is off before you proceed with the wiring of your new light switches. Now that those safety tips are out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the different wiring that you will have for different light switches in your home. So over here we have this row of 4 different light switches, and it pretty much has all the different options that we're going to be talking about. Now right here I have one light switch. When I turn that off, it's going to turn off one light. That's all that is connected to it. There is not another switch. That is a single pole light switch, so you know that there's only wiring right from here to that light switch. Now, then the next type of light switch is going to be a three-way light switch. So if I turn on this light right here, it turned off those, but if I go to the end of the hallway, so down here I have the other three-way switch, and there it is going to turn on the lights that I just turned off over there. Now at one of these locations, the power is coming in, and then it's sending a traveler wire to the other location, and then it has a wire going up to the lights to turn off the lights. That's something you'll need to know, but you will be able to install the Claro or the Diva dimmer switch at either end, and then at the other end, you could use a Pico powder remote or the Claro accessory switch, or you could even keep the mechanical switch. So we'll get more into that. Now the next switch I have here is another three-way switch that's controlling another set of lights over in this area. And then the fourth switch that we have here is the switch that is connected to the fan. So when I turn it on, the fan turns on, and then I turn it off, the fan turns off. So there's a lot more to fans, but I'm going to be putting a Lutron fan control right here so that I have full control of the speed right in this area. We'll get more into how fans can be wired in different ways in a bit. Now you can also know it's a three-way switch if there is no words on the light switch. So here there's nothing, but on a single pole you will have on and off on the switch. A huge thank you to Lutron for providing many of the smart switches I'm going to be using for today's video. So to get this project going, I set everything out where I have it organized by where it's going in the different boxes. So the first box, second box, third box, fourth box, fifth and sixth. So there's a bunch of different ways in which you can do this. And then here are the tools that I'll be using today. Here I'm going to be using a voltage tester. Here I have this electric screwdriver that makes it really easy to get the wall plates off, as well as the smart switches out and in. Here I have some wire strippers in case I need those for any reason, as well as these ones that allow me to crimp all the wires together. Now we are going from toggle switches to the Decora style. So here I did need to get some new wall plates. Now I really like these Lutron ones that do not have any screws showing, but I wasn't able to get some of those, so I just found some other wall plates that were available. Let's start with a single pole circuit. So here I have one light switch in this room and it controls a series of lights. Let's check out the wiring. And so here I'm going to use my voltage tester Power's still on, let's go turn it off. I've now turned off the breaker and there's no longer power coming into this. Let's remove the switch. And here on a single pole light switch, you're going to have 3 wires. You have one, which is your power. That's the line that's connecting to the breaker. Then here you have this, which is your load. This is connected to the light that's going to turn on the light. Here, the copper wire, that's going to be your ground. And then in the back, you will see a bundle of white wires. That is going to be your neutral. Now, for the most part, you can tell which one is your load because that is going up to the lights. And then you can tell which one is your line because that's going down to an outlet where it's receiving power from below. Now we're going to remove the lines. And here we're just going to loosen and pull those off. Now with the wiring that we have in this box, we have a few different options. Here we have the Claro Smart Switch that requires the neutral wire bundle in the back, or here we have the Diva Smart Dimmer that does not require a neutral. So here on the back of the Diva Smart Dimmer, we have the black and the red for the load and the line. Those are interchangeable. And then you have the green for ground, and you'll use the blue in a 3-way connection. Here on the Claro Smart Switch, we have the white for the neutral. You will have a black that connects to the power, and then you have a red that connects to the load. And then here we have the blue, which is going to be used for a 3-way. So we're going to cap that off here. We don't need it. And then we have the green for the ground. So if you want dimming, you would choose the Diva Smart Dimmer. And if you don't need dimming, you can go with the Claro Smart Switch, which does cost a little bit less. But if you don't have the neutral wire, you will need to choose the Diva Smart Dimmer. Now, both of these do use the ground, but if you do not have a ground in your box, that is not required. So for this room, I do not need the dimming, so I'm going to be using the Claro Smart Switch. Now, if at any time you're not sure on your wiring, you can head to lutron.com/wiring wizard. This is a great website to walk you through exactly what you need to do for your wiring with the switch that you're using. So if we go in here, it's going to ask us, are we using a Lutron switch with screws or do we have one with wires? So here we have one with wires, and then how many wires does it have? And down here, there are a few more options. So I actually have 5 wires. So it has a red, black, blue, white, and green. And then here it's asking what we're going to wire it to. So are we doing a single pole, a 2 location, or 3 or more? So here we have single pole, and then it's going to walk me through the installation. There's a video, or I can just view the PDF guide. So this is a great resource for you to look at if you are having any problems. Now, if you're using a Diva Smart Dimmer, you can attach the black and the red to either of these, but when you're using a Claro Smart Switch, you will want to attach the red to the load and the black to the power or the ground. And your colors may be different depending on your box. Now that we know where we're going to put our wires, next we need to straighten all these out so we can easily use a wire nut to cap on our new wiring. The wire nuts are provided in the box. So I'm going to start with the green for the ground, screw that on as tight as it will go, and then pull to verify it is tight. Next, I'm going to do the red for the load. Now on some of these, I do trim them a tiny bit just so there's not any exposed copper at the back of the wire nut. And then here the black is going to go to the other black, which is the line. Then we're going to put the white with the neutral bundle. And for the blue, since this is not a 3-way, it comes with a blue cap that we're going to cap that off with. Now everything is wired. Here we have our white for the neutral, we have our black for the line, we have our red for the load, our green for the ground, and our blue. And now we can put the switch back. I could turn on the power, verify it's working, and then put it back into the wall. Let's go ahead and do that. And here I'm going to keep the ground wiring away from the other wire nuts so that when I push this back in, nothing gets out of place and it touches each other. So with these, you just pop off the front cover. And now we're going to place this on, make sure everything is lined up, then we can screw in the top. Once the wall plate bracket is on, I like to tighten up the smart switch. And now we're going to snap on the wall plate. Let's turn on the power, and this switch is done. Now the 4th light switch that I have right here is to control a fan. So here I turn it on, and the fan turns on. But I want to be able to have the controls to be able to dim the fan and everything right here. Now you may have a fan, and there's 2 different ways in which you might have your fan wired. One, you're going to have one light switch that turns on the fan and the light at the same time, and then you'll have a remote to control that. Or you may have one light switch that controls the fan and one light switch that controls the light. So that's how I have it set up now. If you have a remote, you have a few options. One is you can actually just remove that remote function. So I got up here yesterday, I took off the remote receiver, I then wired the light to the light switch that I have already here, and then I wired the fan to the other switch. So now they are separated. So I have a fan control for the fan and a Claro for the light. Now another option that I've used before is you could keep the fan remote receiver connected to the fan, and you could just take off the light and have the light on its own, and you could then use a Claro smart switch here to turn on and off the fan via a smart controls, and then you can change the speed with your remote. So you have that option, but I prefer to have the control right here where I can adjust it without having to find the remote. And then before we install our new switches, a pro tip is you can use some painter's tape to put down here so that you don't end up scratching up your paint if your new switches are dangling at all. First here I added a Claro smart switch for the fan light. And next we're going to be installing the Caseta wireless fan control over here. I can adjust the speed here at the switch with my voice, or I can even set a favorite with this middle button. So here for the fan control, we have a neutral, we have the ground, we have the load, and then here is where we're going to attach the line. So the first thing that we also need to do is, because we're putting this next to another light, we will need to remove these brackets on this one side. So all you have to do is kind of snap them off just like that. So let's start off with the ground. Then here we're going to attach the load. So here I can look and see which one of these is connected to the power bundle, and that's how I know the other one is going to be the load. And then we're going to unscrew the line screw a little bit. And then here we're going to wrap it around so that when we tighten it, the wire is going to continue to screw in. So it kind of tightens it onto the screw. There we go, just like that. And then we need to attach the neutral to the neutral bundle. Now, because I do have these two wires here, if everything is too far away, I could do a pigtail from here to get them all connected, but we're just gonna try connecting it right here. Now that we have the fan control turned on, we have a bunch of controls here. So you have full speed up here and then off at the bottom, or you can do individual controls. Now there are 4 options. I think it's like low, medium, a little faster, and then high. And then you have the favorite option right here. So if there's a speed you really like it to be, you can go to that speed, and then you can hold down on the favorite button for 10 seconds. And then when you push that favorite button, it will then turn on to that speed, and then we can turn it off just by pushing the off button. So the first 2 are now done. Now next, with these 2, I'm going to be installing a Diva smart dimmer here because I want dimming control, and then over here I just want another Claro smart switch. But these are both 3-way switches, so meaning they have another end in which I need to control them from. So we're gonna start with the Claro smart switch, and I'm gonna do a Claro smart switch here, and at the other end I'm going to use the Claro accessory switch. On here, I'm gonna do the Diva smart dimmer, and then the other end, I'm going to do the Pico paddle remote. Now let's talk about why you would want to use one of these options or the other. Now there is the third option as well, is I can actually rewire the other switch so that we can just continue to use the old mechanical switch, and we only need to replace these. But that just allows you to turn it on and off. Some of the benefits of using these is, let's start with the Pico paddle remote. First, it takes up much less space than putting something in the gang box. Next, it has a 10-year battery life. And because it is a remote, it allows you to place this anywhere, so you could add a 3rd or 4th switch if you wanted to. And then you can also pair this to control multiple devices in the same room. So with one remote, I can control a bunch of other Caseta switches. Then you also have the option to press up once and it goes to the dim level of a Diva dimmer. Press up again, it will go to full brightness. Or the other option is using the Claro accessory switch. Now with this, you'll just wire it in and it's going to act like a mechanical light switch on the other end where you can turn it on and off. But the benefit is it looks just like the Claro style. But the other benefit of the accessory switch is it doesn't count against your devices that you have connected to your Lutron Smart Hub. So the Pico remote will count as one device, but the Claro switch doesn't count as a device because it's wired directly into the Diva Smart Dimmer or the Claro Smart Switch, and that counts as the device, and it's just doing wiring to control it. Now here with the Claro accessory switch, if it is connected to a Diva Smart Dimmer, when I push up once, it will go to the dim level. If I push up again, it will go to that dim level. So over here, I can turn it off, it turns off the lights. If I turn it on once, it goes to the dim level. And if I turn it on one more time, it goes to the full brightness, which is really cool. Didn't know it actually did that. Now the Claro Smart Switch and the Diva Smart Dimmer do have a timer off option. So you hold down for 3 seconds and 30 seconds later, the light will turn off. Now this is only available with the accessory switch to be able to work as well, not available with the Pico paddle remote. Now let's take a look at installing the Claro Smart Switch in a 3-way circuit. So here we have the power coming to this box. We're going to replace this light switch with the Claro Smart Switch, and at the other end we're going to replace it with the Claro Accessory Switch. Now to change this to the Claro Smart Switch with the Claro Accessory Switch, you will then need to choose the location 1. So it doesn't really matter because it can be either side, but this is where I'm going to choose to have my location 1. Next you need to find the other colored screw. So here we have brass screws, and then here we have a black screw, and you need to tag that with a piece of tape so you know which wire that was. Okay, that has now been tagged, and now I'm going to remove this switch. Now we're going to start attaching the Claro switch. So first I'm going to start with the ground. It's going to the green. Next is going to be the black wire, where the black wire that we taped off is, and the black needs to go to the line. Then here I'm going to attach one of the red to the red travel wire. Here I have the white that is going to go to neutral. Then I'm going to take the blue wire and attach it to the other traveler wire. Here we have a white wire, so we need to remember this color of wire. Now that is installed, let's go ahead and go to location 2. All right, here we have location 2. You can see this is a 3-way compared to these other ones. And here we're going to do the same. We're going to find the other color screw. Here we have the black screw, and we're going to tag that wire with tape. Now we're going to install the accessory switch, attaching the green to the ground. Here we're going to attach the red to the taped off cable. Then we're going to attach the black to the red traveler wire. And then here we're going to attach the blue to the same color that we attached the blue on the other side. So here we have white. We're going to attach that. And if I haven't mentioned it yet, make sure you do a pull on all your wires, making sure everything is secure. Now, if you are seeing any extra part of the wire here, I would pull off the wire nut, give them a little trim, and put it back on so you're not seeing any exposed wire. All right, now this is installed. Let's go ahead and put on the faceplate. So that is how you install a 3-way switch using a Claro switch with the Claro accessory switch. Now you can also do that if you're using a Diva Smart Switch. There may just be a slight difference in the way that you wire it. Now there is one way that your home could be set up in which you can't install the Claro Smart Switch at either end. And that's if you have multiple circuits coming into one box. So actually, that's how it works in my house. In this box, we have 2 different circuits. And I didn't know this, maybe some of you have already seen, but I have one circuit here and the other 3 here are connected to one circuit. So if that's the case, that means that there is no neutral to this light switch right here, and I can't connect to the other circuit's neutral. That's not allowed. So what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to take the Claro Smart Switch here, put it at the other end, and that's going to be location 1, and then we'll be able to put the Claro accessory switch here on this end. Let me show you how I wired that up. I could put a Diva Smart Dimmer because it does not need the neutral wire, so I could just swap this out easily, or the other option is I can take the Claro Smart Switch and move it down to where the accessory switch is, and then put the accessory switch in here. So I think that's what I'm going to do, so just give me a minute to get that rewired. So at location 1, where the neutral was, I have the red going to the black tape. Then here I have the black going to the red traveler. Then I have the blue going to the white traveler, and I have the white going to neutral, and the green going to the ground. And at location 2 with the Claro Smart Switch, I have the black tape wire going to the red. I have the red traveler going to the black. I have the white traveler going to the blue, and the green going to the ground, and that is it. And for some reason with that combination, the light is able to work. Now, if you are having issues, you may just need to swap the red and the black cables going into the switch to see if that does anything. If not, you may need to double check all the wiring. And here you can see it's working from the Claro Smart Switch location as well. So now let's go ahead and install the Diva Smart Dimmer here, and we're going to do the 3-way, which we're going to use the Pico paddle remote. So this will allow us to easily add it to the other side, as well as being able to turn it on to the dim level set, as well as on the full brightness. So let's go ahead by installing the Diva Dimmer switch here, and then head over to the second location. So the first thing we need to do here is tag off the wire that is connected to the different color screw. Then we're going to remove the switch, And here on the back, we have the green for the ground. We have the blue, which is for the three-way. And then here we have the black and the red, which are interchangeable, and there is no neutral. So first we're going to connect the green to the ground. Then next I'm going to take the black and attach it to the black tape wire, which is the line. Then I'm going to attach the red to the two traveler wires. And we're going to cap off the blue because we're not using it in a wired situation for the three-way. Here's our second location where we're going to install the Pico paddle remote. So you can get the Pico paddle remote and then you'll need a wall plate bracket to install it in an existing box, or you also have the option to get the remote and wall mounting kit where this has everything in one. So now let's remove the switch. Here we're going to make sure the power is off. And here we're going to do the same thing where we tag off the black wire with some electrical tape. And now let's remove the switch. Next we're going to cap all three of them together. So this is going to help complete the circuit for the light switch, and then we're going to cap off the ground. So cap off the ground, then take these three wires and put them together. And we just need to push these back in. Then on the Pico paddle remote, we're just going to slide off this attachment here, and we're going to then insert it into the wall plate bracket. Now, if you are placing this on a wall just like this, there's a piece you need to remove on the back here, but because we're putting it in the box here, I don't need to remove that. Now we just need to screw it in. And here we're going to put on a screwless plate from Lutron. So this side is done. Let's go ahead and put all these switches into the box. All right, now we're ready to turn on the power and get this connected. Okay, we now have power, so let's see if this works. Here I can turn the light off and on from here. Here the accessory switch works just fine. Now the next type of three-way wiring is going to be with a new smart switch and an existing mechanical switch. This is a great option if you already like your light switches and you only want to replace one of them to make it smart, and then you also save a little bit of money on needing to replace the switch. So how this works is we're going to install our smart switch at the top of the stairs here, and then here we're going to come and do some rewiring so that I don't need to replace this cover plate or switch or anything like that. It will just work with the new switch. Let's head upstairs. Now let's take these out. So here, this is where we're going to attach the bottom of the stairs to. Now you could choose either location, but I chose this location because I'm also going to replace this light switch with a Diva smart dimmer on a three-way switch. Now the first thing we're going to do is tag off the wire that is connected to the black screw. Now with the Claro smart switch, we're going to attach the red to the taped off wire for power. Now the green to the ground. Now I'm going to do the black to the red. And then we'll do the blue to the white. And this is one that you'll need to remember for rewiring the mechanical switch. And then here we're going to do the white to the white neutral bundle. All right, now we can put this switch back into place. Now first I'm going to tape off the wire connected to the black wire. Now next we're going to find the wire that I connected to the blue, which was the white. So that's going to be this wire. So now what I'm going to do is remove this red wire, and I'm going to pigtail it with the wire that's taped off, and I'm going to use a jumper cable that came in the box, the yellow cable, and then we're going to tie it into the black wire. Now if I ended up tying the blue wire to the red, I would just need to put the red here and use these two to connect to the black, but I chose the right one. So now we're just going to take the yellow wire that was included, tie them together. Now this is when a Wago or a bigger wire connector might come in handy. Let's use a bigger wire nut here. The wire strippers make it super easy to curl the wire. And now we're going to take that and place it onto the black screw, making sure that when I tighten it, it's tightening the wire onto the screw. And so here we have the ground connected. There we have the white wire that is connected to the top of the three-way connected to the blue on the Claro smart switch. And then here we have the yellow jumper connected to the black, connecting to the red traveler as well as the black load wire. Now we can put this back into the box. And that one's installed. Now, if you want to use the Diva Smart Dimmer instead of the Claro Smart Switch, the wiring will be exactly the same, except you won't need to tie into the neutral. You'll just use the same wiring on the back, all the same here, all the same on the mechanical side, but you won't have the white neutral. Now next, let's talk about the two light switches here. So one of these light switches is actually a porch light, and the other one is for the carriage lights around the garage. But both of those lights actually are using Philips Hue light bulbs in them. So if somebody comes over here and turns off the light, those no longer are functional. So Lutron actually has a great product to help solve this. So here we have the Lutron Aurora Smart Switch. So this is actually a Friends of Hue Smart Switch. So we can have this attach right here on a toggle switch, and we can have it control the Philips Hue light bulb without ever disconnecting power to the Hue light bulb. So it's going to attach right over to the toggle switch, then we're going to pair it in the Philips Hue app, and then we can have it control the different light switches. And so we have a little button here, and then we have a rotary dial, so the button will turn on and off, and the dial will adjust the brightness. So then those lights are never accidentally turned off by anyone in the home. So this is really a great option for that. The install is super easy. Let's get it set up. So here we have the switch part, and then here you have the bracket that goes on the top. So here we just need to slide on the bracket, putting this in the on position. And here we need to use a screwdriver to tighten it down. Once it is tight, then all we need to do is snap on the switch. Let's do the other one. So now we can know the difference between the hallway light switch and the outdoor light switches, which is pretty nice. Now let's head into the Philips Hue app to get it paired. Then we're just going to go to the settings, and we're going to tap on accessories and then add an accessory. And at the bottom, we have Friends of Hue switch. Here we have Lutron Aurora. So we're going to tap on there, and then it says just double press the center button, and then it should begin blinking. And there we have the LED is blinking. And there it found the switch and is connected. And here this is going to go with the house lights. And here you can see that a press turns it on and off, and then turning does dimming. So here in the settings, I can adjust the name. There we have porch lights. Here I can choose the room, and then we can choose what happens when we press it. So we could go to last on state, bright, dim, night light, or we could even choose different scenes that we have. So I could use one of these for one scene and one for a different scene. So it's cool that I kind of have both next to each other, where I could do different items, or I can have them just be set to control one of the lights and the rest of the lights. So it's nice that I kind of have those options. So once you're done, you can just go back, tap save, and now they are ready to be used. A button press turns it on to the preset scene. Press it again to turn it off, and then at any time you can turn the dial to turn on the brightness or lower the brightness, which is really convenient. Here you can see this will also work on multiple lights at the same time for the other group of lights I have here. Now let's go ahead and replace this three-way switch with a Diva Smart Dimmer, and on the other side we're going to be using the Pico paddle remote, so we still have some dimming function from the other side, and then here we'll be able to control the dimming as soon as we get to the top of the stairs. So we are now at our last main box that we're going to swap out. So here is the other three-way where I'm going to add the Pico paddle remote. Here we have the fan light that I'm going to switch with a Claro switch. Then we have the fan, which is going to be with the fan control. And then last we have one more three-way, which is going to be a Diva over here. And then I'm going to add an accessory switch on the other end. Like I did downstairs, here I'm using the Claro Smart Switch for the fan light, and here I'm using the Lutron fan control for the fan. Now this fan, I can reach the pull string, so I could have used the Claro switch and then just used the pull strings, as they are rated for a 3 amp fan, but here I want the control here. Now let's go ahead and change this to a Diva Smart Dimmer, but on the other end we're going to be installing the accessory switch. Like all the other three-ways, I'm going to tag the wire that is connected to the black screw, and then we're going to remove the switch. So the first thing we need to do is take the taped black wire here, and we're going to attach it to the black on the Diva dimmer. Then we're going to take the red and attach it to one of the lines. And we're going to attach the blue to the other line. Remember which wire you attach the blue to. And then we're going to attach the green to the ground. And now we are ready to put all of these back in. And then one of the other benefits of the Diva Smart Dimmer is you don't need to add the neutral. So here I've added these to the neutral, lots of wiring back there, but since I'm using a Pico over here, I might be able to push some of the wiring this way and get those put back together. And here where we're going to put the accessory switch, we're going to tape off the wire connected to the black screw. Remove the switch, straighten out our wires. Then here on our accessory switch, we're going to do the green to the ground. Then we're going to do the black to the black. Then the red to the taped wire. And then the blue to the same color of wire we did on the other end, which was red. Pull to check wiring and then put it in the wall. Make sure Lutron is here at the bottom. There's also an up arrow. Screw it in. And we have finished all of the installs. Let's turn on the power. Now, when you are using a Diva Smart Dimmer, you have the option to dim right here. So I can dim all the way up and all the way down. If I turn it off, it turns off. If I go on once, it will go to the dim level, and go on again, it goes to the full brightness. Now, when you're connected to a Claro accessory switch, it has that same function. So over here, I can turn it off. It turns off the lights. If I turn it on once, it goes to the dim level. And if I turn it on one more time, it goes to the full brightness, which is really cool. Didn't know it actually did that. And here, the Pico powder remote will have that same function. When you turn it on once, it goes to the dim level, and then turn it on again, it goes to all the lights full brightness. Now that we have all of our new smart switches installed, we're gonna head into the Lutron app to get everything connected to our smart hub. Now, this is going to be the same experience with all of these different switches, so you're just gonna have to go through one at a time. So here in the Lutron app, I just need to tap on the settings, and then I need to tap on add device. Now here it is going to tell you how many devices you've added. You can add a total of 75 to one smart hub. So we're gonna tap add device. You'll then notice that all of the devices in your home are blinking, indicating they're ready to be paired. And now we need to choose what we're going to add, if it's going to be the switch, a Pico remote, or other options. So here we're going to choose the switch. Down here you can tap on which one you're going to connect to see how to pair it. And here we're going to hold down on the bottom button for 10 seconds on the Diva Smart Dimmer. And the LEDs will start flashing when it is pairing. So then in the app, it automatically popped up and asked me where I want to add this to. The room I want to add it to is not here. So I'm going to scroll down, tap Other. And here I'm going to add a room, and this is called Loft. And then what is this room mostly used for? Entertaining. And now we're going to choose what these are. These are the main ceiling lights. Now next, let's go ahead and add the Pico remote that is connected to this Diva Smart Dimmer. So here you can see these lights are flashing, waiting for me to do something, but I'm going to tap the Pico remote, and then I'm going to hold down on the off button for 10 seconds. And here the Pico Smart remote will then pop up where I want to add this. I'm going to go and find my room under Other, and then there we have Loft. So now it's asking what I want this to control. Now I have another shade up here, but I want it to control the lights. So we're going to choose lights, and then that has been added. So now I'm going to go through and connect all of the different switches and Pico smart remotes that I have added. The accessory switch you don't need to connect because it is already a part of the switch that it is connected to. The Diva and the Claro Smart Switch have a few other options you can adjust in the settings. Here, if we tap on the light, we can tap Edit Device, and they have a new option called Auto Off Timer. This allows you to have the light turn on and then automatically turn off after a certain period of time. Here you can have it set for hours, or you can set a few minutes. This is great if the kids keep leaving on a light. You can turn this on so that that will automatically turn off after a certain amount of time. Then with the Diva Smart Dimmer, you have an option to adjust the trim. The trim is how the brightness of the light is interacting with the dimmer. So if you're finding that your light is not working when it's at a dim level, or you're seeing any flickering, you would want to come in here and adjust the trim so that the lights connected to the Diva are working properly. And then you also have the option to adjust the status light. So you could have the status lights be off when the light's on, or you could have them be off when the lights are off. So it's up to you how you want those, but that's all in the settings once you have connected these to the hub. Now here I'm going to connect the fan control. It's the same, hold down on the off for 10 seconds and you'll see the lights flashing. Now here I'm going to turn on the fan and it goes all the way to the top. Now over here the fan is not set all the way, so I either need to use the remote that it's controlled with, or I need to use the actual pull strings to get the fan up to the full speed. Now that the fan is full speed, I can then use the controls over here to adjust the speed. Now, if there's a speed that you really like, you can set a favorite. So here I'm going to set it to the second option, and now I'm going to hold down on the button here for 10 seconds until the light flashes, and then that will save it as the favorite. And then when I want it turned on to that speed, I just need to press the favorite button. So now I turn it off, I press the favorite button, and it goes back to that speed. And when I'm done, I'm just going to tap done, and then it's going to program all that I've done to the hub. It might take a few minutes. Now on the other side of the Diva Smart Switch, I couldn't decide what I wanted here. I could have used the Accessory switch or the Pico paddle remote. Now one of the benefits of using one of the Pico smart remotes is I can make that control multiple lights at once. So let's go ahead and set this one up where it's going to control all the lights up here instead of one, because the Accessory switch would only control the one light it's connected to, but this will control multiple. So here under the loft, I'm going to tap on Pico remote, and then I'm going to tap edit device. Then here I have the option to choose the devices that it's going to control. So here we could choose any light or shade that I have in my house, and I'm going to go down here to the loft. So here we have the ceiling fan lights and the main lights, but I also want the stair lights over there, so the stairs main lights, and then I also want the upstairs hallway lights right here. So one press, I can turn them all off or on at the same time. So I'm now going to tap save. It's going to make those adjustments, and now with the press of this button, I can turn off all the lights in here at once, just like that. If I push on once, it's going to turn on all of them and go to the brightness that I have the Diva Smart Dimmers at, and then if I push it one more time, it will brighten everything up all the way. So now I just need to go through and finish connecting the rest of the switches to the app. And here we are back at the beginning after the project. So let's see all that we have done. So starting over here, we now have the option to turn off the ceiling fan light right there. I can turn it on. I have the option to dim the other lights right here. I can turn those on and off. And then if we go over here, so I can dim them, I can go over here. Here I have the option to turn off the ceiling fan light here and the other can lights that we have up there. If I turn it on once, it goes to the brightness the Diva set at, and then it turns on the Claros. One more time, it puts them all at full brightness. If we then go back to here, I have the option to turn off these lights right here with the Accessory switch. And then here I have the option to turn on and off the fan in this room. And then going down here, I now have the option to use my Claro switch to turn on and off these lights. In this room, I can turn on and off the lights. Right here, I can adjust my Philips Hue lights that are outside on the porch just with the press of a button. Those turn off. I can twist the dial to change the brightness and turn them up, or I can push them to go to the preset that I have them set at. And then here at the bottom of the stairs, I can turn off the lights at the top of the stairs with the existing mechanical switch. And now with all of that, I can use all my different voice commands from whatever favorite assistant I use, and I can even set up other Pico remotes where the click of a button can turn off all of the lights in this entire room, and then I push the on button and it can turn on all of the lights. Another cool thing that you can do with this is if you go in the app and adjust a certain scene that you want it to be, you can set a favorite on your Pico remote, and then it will set it to that favorite, and so you have the option for that. You can turn them all on or turn them all off. So if you have any further questions about wiring your Caseta by Lutron smart switches, please let me know down in the comments below. I'll also leave a link to the Lutron wiring wizard so you can go through that. That was so helpful for me to make sure I had everything set correctly if I kept having problems. And then if you want to see more about how to get your Lutron Smart Hub connected, you can check out the video right here. If you want to go through and see how to get everything connected with your different voice assistants, you can check out the video right here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.